Ladies and gentlemen, there are moments when life feels shattered words create worlds is not just a poetic phrase, it is a spiritual law that governs life itself. Every word spoken carries energy, intention, and vibration that shapes the reality around us. From the very beginning of creation, words were the instruments through which order was brought out of chaos. When you speak, you are not simply communicating, you are planting seeds in the unseen realm that will eventually manifest in the seen. A word is never idle, it travels, it builds, it constructs, and it calls forth experiences that align with its meaning. When a person constantly speaks of defeat, sickness, or lack, life organizes itself around those declarations, reinforcing that reality. On the other hand, when a person speaks of strength, health, and abundance, even if circumstances look opposite, the atmosphere begins to shift to match those words. The human tongue has the power of life and death. What you decree with conviction sets into motion forces that may be invisible to the physical eye, but they are powerful beyond measure. Many people fail to see that their lives are mirrors of their words. They wonder why doors remain closed, why success feels distant, or why peace seems absent, without realizing that their constant conversation is painting those very walls around them, saying things like "nothing ever works out for me," or "I am always unlucky." Is not harmless chatter, it is a command sent out into the spiritual field, and the universe obeys without hesitation. If words can wound, discourage, and tear down, then they also have the opposite ability to heal, inspire, and rebuild. Consider how a single phrase can lift a person from despair or plunge them deeper into hopelessness. Words are like arrows, and once released, they cannot be pulled back. A careless word can destroy trust in a relationship, while a word of encouragement can resurrect it. A parent's words can shape the destiny of a child, instilling either confidence or insecurity. A leader's words can calm nations or stir chaos. Words are containers of energy, and the energy they carry never returns void. They return multiplied, echoing back into the life of the speaker. This truth makes it vital to choose words as carefully as one would choose seeds to plant in a garden. No one would willingly plant thorns if they desired roses, yet many speak words of limitation and then hope for abundance. It does not work that way. You reap exactly what you speak, because speech reveals belief, and belief is the architect of reality. The inner dialogue you carry in your mind, combined with the outer words you release, are constantly shaping the world you walk in. If you want joy, speak joy. If you desire success, speak success. If you long for healing, speak words of health and wholeness. Life may not transform overnight, but consistent words spoken in faith reshape the very structure of your experiences. Even in the darkest hour, words hold the power to turn the tide. Saying "I will rise again" when everything looks lost is not denial of reality. It is a declaration that reality is subject to change under spiritual law. The world you live in today is a reflection of the words you spoke yesterday, and the world you will live in tomorrow will be built on the words you speak today. To understand that words create worlds is to recognize that the mouth is not just for speech, it is a creative tool given to direct life. With it you can curse or bless, diminish or expand, close doors or open them. Every sentence is a brushstroke painting the canvas of your destiny, and every declaration is a decree shaping the path ahead. Faith cancels fear because the two cannot exist in the same space at the same time. Fear thrives in uncertainty, in doubt, and in imagining the worst possible outcome, while faith thrives in trust, assurance, and the certainty that divine order is at work. Whenever fear rises, it clouds the mind, weakens the body, and paralyzes action. It whispers lies of limitation, telling you that you cannot, you will not, and you should not even try. Faith, on the other hand, speaks a higher truth, assuring you that no obstacle is greater than the power within you. No challenge is without solution, and no darkness can withstand the presence of light. Fear pulls you backward, but faith propels you forward, making progress possible even when circumstances seem impossible. When you live in fear, you live in anticipation of loss. You expect things to go wrong, and because your focus shapes your reality, you often attract exactly what you dread. Fear magnifies problems, exaggerates risks, and blinds you to opportunities. It is like a fog that covers the road, making you uncertain with every step. Faith, however, is a light that cuts through the fog. It does not always show you the entire path, but it reveals enough for you to keep walking. Faith is not denial of challenges. It is confidence that even in the face of challenges, you will not be abandoned and you will not be defeated. It is a higher knowing that behind every difficulty there is a door waiting to open. Fear weakens speech and action. A fearful person hesitates, doubts, and speaks defeat before even attempting victory. They give power to circumstances rather than standing in their own divine authority. Faith reverses this weakness by giving courage. A person rooted in faith declares strength even when they feel weak, speaks abundance even when they see lack, and moves with confidence even when the outcome is not yet visible. Faith does not wait for evidence, it creates the evidence. Fear waits for the storm to pass before moving forward, but faith dares to walk on the waters in the midst of the storm. In practical life, this principle plays out in countless ways. A fearful student doubts their ability to pass and therefore studies without focus, carrying anxiety that blocks memory and clarity. A student with faith studies with the assurance that wisdom is available and that confidence unlocks creativity and recall. A fearful entrepreneur hesitates to start a venture because of imagined failures, but one who acts in faith takes the first step, and that step attracts opportunities and resources. A fearful person in crisis expects the worst, but a faithful heart expects divine intervention, and that expectation often becomes the channel through which solutions arrive. Faith is magnetic, drawing to itself the good it envisions, while fear is equally magnetic, drawing the very thing it dreads. To cancel fear with faith is to take control of the inner dialogue. When the voice of fear whispers, "You are not enough," faith declares, "I am equipped for every task." When fear says, "You will fail," faith answers, "All things work together for my good." When fear says, "There is no way," faith declares, "The way is already prepared." Each word of faith pushes fear further away until it loses its grip completely. Ultimately, fear is powerless without your agreement, but faith is powerful the moment you choose it. Fear keeps you in chains, while faith breaks those chains and gives you wings. Fear drains energy, while faith restores it. Fear is an illusion, but faith is truth. When faith takes its rightful place in the heart, fear has no room to dwell, because light always cancels darkness and trust always cancels doubt. You said, forgiveness sets you free because it releases the heavy weight of resentment that binds the heart and clouds the mind. Holding on to anger or bitterness may feel justified in the moment, but over time it becomes a prison. Every time you replay the hurt, you relive the pain, and instead of punishing the one who wronged you, you punish yourself. Forgiveness is not about approving what was done or excusing harmful behavior. It is about refusing to let the past control your present and your future. When you forgive, you reclaim your power, you cut the cords that keep you tied to suffering, and you open the door for peace to enter. Bitterness is like carrying sharp glass in your pocket. It hurts you far more than it hurts the other person. Many times the one who caused the pain has moved on, unaware of the storm still raging inside you. By refusing to forgive, you keep them alive in your mind and give them power over your emotions. Forgiveness takes back that power. It is not weakness, it is strength. It is the ability to rise above wounds and declare that your spirit will not be poisoned by hate. It is a choice that lifts you out of bondage and places you in freedom. Forgiveness is also a law of spiritual alignment. Whatever energy you release is the energy that returns to you. If you release judgment and revenge, you attract more experiences of conflict and heaviness. If you release mercy and compassion, you invite peace and harmony into your life. Forgiveness is like opening the windows of a closed room. Suddenly the fresh air of healing can flow in. It clears the space for love, joy, and new opportunities to flourish. Without forgiveness, your inner world remains cluttered, and that clutter reflects itself in your outer experiences. Forgiveness is also essential for self-growth. When you refuse to forgive, you keep your identity tied to the role of the victim. You define yourself by what was done to you rather than who you truly are. Forgiveness cuts that tie and allows you to rise as the author of your own story. It is not saying that the wound never mattered. It is saying that the wound will no longer define you. In forgiving others, you also learn to forgive yourself, which is often the hardest task. Many carry guilt for mistakes of the past, repeating them in their minds and refusing to release themselves from shame. But freedom comes when you realize that you did the best you could with the awareness you had, and now you are wiser. Self-forgiveness is the key that opens the door to a new chapter without dragging the past behind you. To forgive is to choose healing over hurt, peace over turmoil, and freedom over bondage. It is an act of faith that says you trust in divine justice and divine order more than in your own desire for revenge. Forgiveness does not erase memory, but it removes the sting from memory. You may still remember the event, but it no longer controls your emotions. You can look at it without bitterness, and in doing so, you transform pain into wisdom. That wisdom becomes strength, and that strength becomes freedom. Forgiveness is not a one-time act, it is a continual practice. Every time anger tries to rise again, you choose release. Every time bitterness whispers to you, you remind yourself that you are free. The more you practice forgiveness, the lighter you become, until you discover that what once weighed you down no longer holds any power over you. In this freedom, your spirit can soar, your mind can rest, and your life can move forward without chains. Divine order is always at work, even when the human eye cannot see it and the human mind cannot comprehend it. Life often appears chaotic, unpredictable, and unfair, but beneath the surface there is a higher intelligence arranging every detail with perfect precision. What may look like delay is often protection. What seems like rejection is redirection, and what appears to be loss is sometimes the clearing away of what no longer serves your highest good. Divine order is the hidden current that moves you exactly where you are meant to be, aligning people, opportunities, and events in ways that are often only understood in hindsight. When you trust that divine order is always at work, you no longer live as a victim of circumstance. Instead, you understand that every closed door is making way for the right door, every ending is preparing the path for a beginning, and every disappointment carries within it a seed of transformation. The human mind wants control, it wants certainty, it wants everything to unfold according to personal timelines, but divine order follows its own perfect timing. When you surrender to that timing, peace enters because you no longer wrestle with life but flow with it. Many people panic when plans collapse or when life does not unfold according to their design. But divine order is not limited to human expectations. You may think you know the fastest way to success, yet the universe may reroute you through what feels like setbacks only to place you in a position far greater than what you imagined. Sometimes the job that falls through prevents you from being trapped in mediocrity. Sometimes the relationship that ends makes space for one rooted in true love. And sometimes the delay you resist saves you from walking into harm. Divine order is like a master weaver, stitching together threads of joy and sorrow, triumph and trial, until the tapestry reveals its beauty. The greatest test of faith is to believe in divine order when everything looks out of order. It is easy to believe when life flows smoothly, but true trust is formed when life looks broken, yet you hold to the assurance that nothing is wasted. Even the mistakes you make, even the wrong turns and failures, are woven into the pattern of divine order. What feels like failure is often preparation, teaching you resilience, patience, and strength that you will need for the next chapter. The pieces that do not make sense individually form a perfect design when seen from a higher perspective. Divine order is also evident in the rhythm of nature. The sun rises and sets with perfect precision. The seasons follow their cycles without fail. The seed planted in the ground pushes through the soil in its appointed time. Just as creation is guided by order, so is your life. Nothing comes too soon and nothing comes too late. Everything arrives when it is meant to arrive, and if it has not yet come, it means the ground is still being prepared. To recognize divine order is to replace anxiety with trust. Instead of worrying about what is not happening, you affirm that the right things are happening in unseen ways. Instead of forcing outcomes, you align with the flow of life and allow doors to open naturally. The more you lean into this truth, the more you realize that life is not random, it is purposeful, and even detours are part of the map. Divine order does not promise a life without challenges, but it assures that every challenge is a stepping stone leading you closer to your destiny. When you walk with this awareness, you stop resisting, you stop doubting, and you begin to see beauty even in what once felt like chaos, knowing deep within that divine order is always at work. Brokenness is a doorway to strength because it strips away illusions of control and forces the soul to draw on a deeper source of power. When life shatters, when plans collapse, and when the heart feels crushed under the weight of pain, a hidden opportunity is present. In those very moments of weakness, the seeds of resilience, wisdom, and courage are planted. Brokenness humbles pride, softens hardness, and teaches lessons that ease and comfort could never reveal. It is often through struggle that the spirit awakens, and it is through loss that a greater gain is prepared. The cracks in a life are not proof of defeat. They are openings through which light, growth, and renewal enter. Many people fear brokenness because it feels like the end, but in truth, it is often the beginning of transformation. A broken heart teaches compassion because it has tasted sorrow and therefore knows how to comfort others. A broken dream teaches perseverance because it reveals that failure is not final but a teacher guiding towards something greater. A broken plan opens the way for divine redirection, teaching that what falls apart is often clearing space for what is destined. Without brokenness, many would never seek spiritual depth, never discover inner strength, and never rise to their true potential. Strength that comes without brokenness is shallow and untested, but strength born from pain is unshakable. When you have walked through darkness and still found the courage to rise, no storm can easily shake you again. You learn that wounds do not define you, they refine you. You discover that weakness is not the end, but the place where divine power begins to flow. Brokenness teaches you to lean not on your own limited strength, but on the infinite strength that lies within and around you. In that surrender, new life begins to emerge, stronger and more resilient than before. Brokenness also brings clarity. When something shatters, distractions fall away, and what truly matters becomes visible. Suddenly, the small grievances that once consumed attention no longer hold weight, and deeper values rise to the surface. Family, love, faith, health, and purpose shine brighter when brokenness has stripped away illusions of permanence and control. This clarity is a gift, for it allows you to rebuild not on false foundations but on truth. Every collapse offers a chance to construct a stronger life with wisdom that only comes through experience. There is beauty in brokenness when you shift perspective. Consider how a seed must first break in the ground before new life can sprout. Consider how gold is refined only after being melted by fire. Consider how the strongest trees grow after enduring the fiercest winds. In the same way, the soul is strengthened through breaking, shaping, and refining. The pain is real, but so is the growth that follows. The cracks do not diminish value, they increase it, for they become marks of survival, reminders of resilience, and symbols of transformation. Those who have never known brokenness often cannot truly appreciate strength, but those who have risen from ashes carry a quiet authority. They know storms come and go, but they also know they can withstand them. They walk with humility, with deeper empathy, and with a faith that does not waver easily. Their strength is not loud or boastful, but steady and enduring. Brokenness is not a curse, it is a passageway. It is the door through which you walk into greater strength, deeper faith, and higher wisdom. It is the fire that refines, the storm that strengthens roots, and the night that makes the dawn brighter. What feels like ruin is often a sacred rebuilding, and what feels like weakness is the preparation for a strength that will carry you far beyond where comfort ever could. Ask ChatGPT. Declare restoration daily because words spoken with faith hold the power to rebuild what seems lost and renew what appears broken. Each day presents a choice, to repeat the language of defeat or to affirm the language of healing and wholeness. Restoration is not only a physical process, but also a spiritual principle that begins with declaration. When you speak restoration, you are aligning yourself with the law of renewal, calling forth strength where there was weakness, abundance where there was lack, and joy where there was sorrow. What you affirm consistently shapes the atmosphere around you, creating conditions for change to manifest. Many people rise each morning rehearsing yesterday's disappointments. They dwell on what went wrong, what they lost, and how broken they feel, not realizing that their words are cementing those very conditions. To declare restoration daily is to reverse that pattern. It is to stand in faith and speak, I am being renewed, my life is being rebuilt, what was lost is returning in greater measure. Such affirmations do not ignore reality, they reshape it. They remind the spirit that no situation is final and that divine power is always working to restore balance, peace, and fulfillment. Restoration begins inwardly before it shows outwardly. When you declare renewal, your mind begins to shift from despair to hope, from exhaustion to energy, and from confusion to clarity. This mental transformation creates resilience, which in turn attracts opportunities for external change. The person who declares restoration daily does not remain stuck in victimhood. Instead, they develop the mindset of a builder, seeing possibilities where others see ruins. Words of restoration strengthen the will and ignite faith that fuels action. Day by day, brick by brick, life begins to rebuild on the foundation of those daily declarations. It is important to understand that declaring restoration is not about waiting passively for miracles, but about activating them. Each spoken word is a seed, and when planted consistently, it produces harvest in its appointed season. Even if the evidence of change is not immediate, persistence in declaration keeps the soil of the heart fertile and ready for growth. Just as nature requires time for seeds to sprout, restoration in life often unfolds gradually. Yet every word spoken in faith accelerates the process, drawing unseen resources into alignment until the restoration becomes visible. Declaring restoration daily also heals the spirit from within. It softens the grip of regret, guilt, or resentment and replaces it with peace and acceptance. When you say, I am restored, you are not denying the hurt, but you are refusing to be defined by it. You are affirming that the broken chapter is not the final chapter. By speaking restoration over your relationships, your finances, your health, and your dreams, you are commanding life to rise from the ashes of what once seemed lost. The practice of declaration also attracts divine order into your affairs. Life moves in the direction of your dominant confession, and when restoration is your daily proclamation, events, people, and opportunities appear in harmony with that vibration. Where others see obstacles, doors begin to open. Where others expect decline, you experience renewal. This is not coincidence, but the law of alignment responding to your spoken word. Each day offers a chance to declare again, no matter how you feel or what you see. The more consistently you affirm restoration, the deeper it roots in your subconscious, and the stronger it reflects in your reality. Just as water shapes stone over time, daily words of renewal shape destiny with quiet but unstoppable force. Declare restoration daily, and you will witness brokenness turn into beauty, loss transform into gain, and despair shift into hope. For the power of spoken word partnered with faith makes restoration not just possible but inevitable. Ask ChatGPT